Internationalization of research does not happen naturally. A year ago, I came to Germany to pursue a research on the internationalization of higher education within its excellence strategy. This was a research interest that was sparkled for me by the work that I was involved with while working at the Brazilian Federal Agency for Support and Evaluation of Graduate Education, connected to the Brazilian Ministry of Education. It was a very interesting and lively time back then in Brazil, where we were discussing the concept of the internationalization, what it meant for us, and most importantly, trying to see internationalization as a means to achieve better research, to achieve maybe excellence in what we were doing. So I had the opportunity to come to Germany to pursue this research and try to understand a little bit better how things are being developed here in this other country. It was quite interesting upon arrival to see that for some of the researchers and managers that I interacted with throughout the development of my project, it was quite interesting my interest in the idea of internationalization within the excellence strategy, as according to them, this was not quite the focus. I can totally understand that. When you look at the requirements for the excellence strategy, institutions should already have some degree of international connections, its researchers should have some sort of visibility. So there is a connection to internationalization within the requirements to become either a cluster of excellence or a future university of excellence. But at the same time, when you look at the main objective of the program, you will also see that international visibility and competitivity of German research are within the main goals, which make at least me think that you also have among the outcomes of the program an expectation of internationalization, and that is connected to excellence in research. So internationalization and excellence are two things that are connected, and one thing reacts to the other. The main point here for me is how can we get this wheel moving, whereby I will have some degree of internationalization, and that will lead me to an improvement of the quality of my research, and one thing will lead to the other, etc., etc. To understand what we mean when we are talking about internationalization, as the idea of internationalization within higher education can have some different meanings. Usually we go straight to mobility, and there is a certain premium associated with this academic mobility, whereby researchers that have the chance to be mobile have more citations and a higher impact of the publications that they have the opportunity to develop. But when we talk about internationalization today, we have other discussions. We are discussing internationalization of curriculums. We are discussing the idea of internationalization at home. After all, not everybody can move across borders. Internationalization of the academic profession, internationalization of the disciplines. So it's a manifold concept. And when we talk about internationalization of research, we are mostly looking at a certain degree of international approach to what is being researched, but also involvement of people from different nationalities and origins within the research that is being developed. So it's a little bit more focused, but at the same time, we will involve other things in this broader discussion that correlates and relates internationalization and excellency. Coming back to Germany, when we look at the Nature Index, and I know indexes are not perfect, but they are a good way for us to have an idea of where countries stand globally. When you look at the Nature Index, Germany is the number 3 destination for researchers worldwide. And that has been stable for at least the last 5 years. And Germany also appears as a relevant actor in terms of global research. It's quite interesting to look into the Nature Index because in the case of Germany, they highlight the importance of research institutes and the fact that the country has this tradition of research being developed at research institutes and not really necessarily within universities. But what makes the index even more curious is that in this year of 2020, the Nature Index is about to launch its first special inaugural edition on Germany. And this edition that is looking more closely at the realities of the country is highlighting the Excellence Initiative as a program that has cemented Germany's position within the global scene of research. And looking at this program, what we see is a national involvement within the local government level, the national government level, and researchers and universities in creating something that has a certain degree of competitivity and creates differentiation within the system, but also at the time tries not so much to undermine the idea of cooperation within the system, because both things are necessary when you think about producing science. It's a never-ending discussion. When you speak with different actors within the German science and education system, there are different perceptions on the excellence strategy. I have to say a good deal of them are good, but there is this equilibrium that was achieved and this constant discussion into the creation of the discourse that is quite interesting. The fact that you have pushback forces acting all the time in the way that the policy is being developed. In terms of practical meanings of the program, things go beyond the extra funding. First of all, the detailed process of planning that led for Germany to have an excellence strategy, but also for the universities to engage in this process. There is a very interesting degree of expenditure flexibility for the clusters of excellency as well as for the universities of excellence. You would have fully international review panels, not only for the selection process, but also for the follow-up process of the program, for the evaluation of how these clusters and these universities are evolving over time. There is also a certain degree of internationalization of curriculum discussions, an active gender equality, an active diversity policy within clusters of excellency and within the idea of the University of Excellency. The mobile researchers are still there and they have a lot of support and stimuli to be involved in international research. And early career researchers receive a degree and amount of support that I find inspiring. There is the presence of constant networking, regular meetings, participation in international conferences, which is only seen as natural when you are a scientist, a researcher, but it goes a little bit beyond that in terms of even career guidance and the development of qualifications that would go beyond the scientific matters. You have all these opportunities to thrive as a researcher and to contribute to a bigger research topic, a bigger research discussion. The impact that was produced on universities goes into their management structures, into their governance structures. There is now a presence of this scientific management, which is usually somebody with scientific academic upbringing that is more interested in seeing policy at a broader sense within the university, within the research structure that person is involved with. When we look at the world cloud that comes from the reports of the second round of clusters of excellence within the Excellence Strategy Initiative, it's quite interesting to see that even within the clusters, the university is there in the center of the many different activities that clusters are involved with. So there is an idea of a collective involvement in research that is strengthened by the presence of the university that takes the whole thing to another level. What I take out of my time here so far is definitely the importance of a policy coordination and the presence of structures that actually make internationalization of research possible at another level in the 21st century. Much more collaborative, present in groups, and that thinks of the university in a more global sense. Thank you very much.